was a not very smooth transition from our animation to the game time. But hey, we've manifested into this material plane. Welcome, one and all, to Level 1 Adventuring, the second official episode of the campaign stream. We're so happy to have you here. There's a cat running around in the background just to join us on our quest. Once again, I'm Wolf Scott. I'm your host and Dungeon Master, and I'm joined by all my lovely friends. If you want to go around and remind everyone who you are, that would be just dandy.
Yeah, hi. I'm Sydney. I am going to be playing Viola Numot for everyone here this evening. And I am very excited. Today, fun fact, I just got certified in CPR, so now I can save your life.
Wow! In game and out of game, you can save lives.
In game, I'm a cleric, so I thought that it was just really on brand. So I'm gonna pass it to Lauren.
Hey, my name's Lauren. I'm playing Grey Eden, the orc that smells like dirt. See if there's a fun fact about me. This is my last session filming from this apartment.
Oh my god, in the apartment that, spoiler alert, we share. We're literally like, we're a hallway away right now, so soon the stream will truly be across the divide of many a street. But for now, we can literally hear each other laugh from
And I am the final player tonight. My name is Zach. I will be playing Zorvarax, the dragon fighter. And a fun fact about me, I'm actually in that apartment as well. They don't know it. I'm doing this from the walls.
Wow.
Surprise, guys. I hear your laughter too.
Stealth check passed on Zorvarax there.
I'm kidding.
Wink, wink, wink. I love that I didn't require any of you to say a fun fact, but we are all so conditioned, I think, by like Zoom culture that we're like, yeah, like what's our fun fact? That's hilarious. Also, Ugasaki says you gotta pay the null toll, so you gotta pay the. Wait, that's you? You put that? I didn't know that you that was your screen name. Hilarious.
Hey,
that's how sneaky you are.
Get those views.
You could have had that going for so long. You could have had me
you're right.
not believing.
Wow.
You could have been like our biggest
creepy
fan. Yeah.
Well, I want to keep it light in the chat. I don't want that to be. I don't want to scare anyone.
Yeah, I don't want to scare. That's hilarious.
I bet Zorvarax's breath smells really good.
10 pics of Zorvarax's feet. Thanks.
Just so everyone is aware, because obviously we have a couple of our lovely party goers not present tonight. Garrett already had some time planned away from stream, and Kamani and Amber are not feeling 100%, so we wish them well, and we send them love and energy and good vibes and speedy recoveries. So yeah, we might run a little shorter tonight as well. Be aware of that. We're gonna like see where things go. But yeah, just letting everyone be aware of that whole situation. But thank you one and all for those who showed up, and thank you for all of the streamers who are ready to watch our party continue their quest. I'm gonna throw all the socials on the. Actually, am I? I forget. There we go. That's the. Oh no, I'm breaking it. There we go. I'm gonna throw all the socials on the chat right there.
Chat can be hard.
Chat can be hard. Excellent. I think with that out of the way, we can maybe do a little recap from last session. Yeah, we feeling good?
Oh yeah.
Excellent. When we last left our intrepid heroes, the most classic of introductions.
I love hearing that phrase.
When we last left our intrepid heroes, Joe says, love your recaps. Joe's very familiar with those recaps. We followed the party. Well, actually, I shouldn't even say followed the party yet. The party was not a thing. 6 clandestine strangers. Intrepid AF says Philanthropist. Very true. 6 sort of star-crossed strangers pulled together from circumstance, from dire circumstance, some from just as fate would have it. found their way across the wide swath and land of Mira to establishment in the middle of Sunstep. Valhalla says, "Cat!" in all caps. So, yes, very accurate. Cat.
Oh,
Cat
yeah.
is there.
This is Hugo.
That's Hugo. Sunstep is one of the southern regions of Mira. I can actually pull up a little map, I think. Let me see if I can... I'm going to go back to Game Time Chat because I realized I can pull up the map, but it doesn't have audio on it yet. So hopefully you saw the map for a second, and I'll get the audio on there eventually. Sunstep is one of the southern portions of Mira. It leads into the very arid tip where all the deserts lie on the Tarathi Waste, but this area is more of a spread of golden hills, prairie grass. It's kind of where the biomes start to shift as you head from the center hinterlands where all the pastoral flowing greens are of the main city. This particular establishment, known as Onathi's Roadhouse, serves as one of the many waypoints that travelers can use between their various stops, traveling from usually the main cities, Danarath being in the center of the hinterlands in Mira, and Yarenhall, had to remember the name of my own major city, dominating the Arc Reach, which is the other parcel of land that rests sort of on either end of Sunstep. The party was called for their own reasons by a notice left by a mysterious figure who simply signed it as the Man in the Morian. The notice pretty much was promising good pay, good honest pay, to accompany them for a delivery of some kind. Very tight-lipped about the whole affair, but looking for able-bodied individuals to help them. Oh, Hugo loves the camera, very true. Able-bodied individuals to help ferry them across the frontier. Wow. I'm looking at the stream counter. It's breaking. Look at that. It's breaking the fourth wall. The stream counter has broken the edge of my screen there because it's in double digits. That's great. Up north to Danarath, which is the main city. So slowly, one by one, or I should say 2 by 2, as you've sort of learned from the last session, these 6 adventurers, some of them have known each other beforehand. They've had their own reasons for kind of coming together, working together, which I'm sure we'll learn as we continue. Wink, 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 wink. But 2 by 2, they slowly filtered into Onathi's Roadhouse. The place itself, sort of a rustic tavern, golden timbers which are worn by the sandy winds, very well loved and well used. Once the doors are open, there was a bright hearth, some colorful characters drinking, rabble-rousing talking, the ever affable Onathi himself, a muscular, tattooed, half-orc sort of bartender slash maitre d', if you will, beckoning the heroes in to take seats and be fed and be merry and have drink, not fully knowing what would truly happen in his establishment that night. Characters rolled in asking for this man in the Morian, but no matter who the characters seemed to speak to or find to bend their ear, no one was really keen on who this mysterious figure was. So they ended up interacting with more of the patrons at Onathi's. Learned a little bit about Onathi's too. I believe it was Viola who inquired about the collection of sort of strange wagon wheels that were all mounted in a very like kitschy, decorative manner all around the tavern. Which the party found out, they are actually wagon wheels from various caravans that have made notable or noteworthy journeys through Sunstep along the Fortune Road, which is the particular road which you are all traveling on right now. If I didn't mention that before, I think I might have mentioned it in passing. But a bunch of other fun stuff happened. There was a small troop of halfling eccentrics who were knife juggling and throwing blades at a target. She has never been to the Magic Texas Roadhouse before. You know what? Oh my god. I should definitely write in that you can just like crunch peanuts and throw them on the ground.
Just littering
just
the
littered
ground.
everywhere. That is Onathi's vibe for sure.
And their rolls are delicious.
And their rolls are so good. There was a group of halfling knife throwers that were enjoying a game on each other's shoulders, sort of stacked up, juggling knives, throwing them into a target that was sort of painted to resemble a snarling gnoll's head, a hyena's head. And Musadi interacted with them, played them some songs, got them so riled up they threw a knife through a window and then got very nervous and stopped. I believe then we had Gray and Zorvarax come in, to which Gray immediately started demanding soup and handing out rocks, because as we learned, rocks not only are a great way to broker friendships, but they will actually help you remember long-lost lore if you rub them on your forehead or your temples.
And kill gnolls, but...
yeah, spoilers!
We'll get to that.
Spoilers,
And
Gray.
I didn't demand stew, I ordered it from the bar. Just her voice.
That's just how she talks. Everything.
She had been kicking that rock for a long time.
Kicking that rock, and let us not forget
it wasn't
that Zorvarax.
Just a rock.
No, let us not forget that Zorvarax was invested in those rocks and letting everyone know how important they were to his friend Gray.
I had spent a long time on the road with those rocks by then.
Yeah, you could probably name them all off by heart.
He had names. He won't share them, but
yeah,
he knew.
Yeah, he knew which ones. And then our final two, Nadara and Yo, and probably the most, well, I guess all the pairs were unlikely, but these two in particular very unlikely. Yoan in all of his finery and Nadara in her dark leathers entered the bar. Yoan tried to talk up the barkeep while Nadara threw a knife and pretty much across the entire tavern and nailed the target, which very much impressed the halflings. Same thing with Zorvarax's strong-armed hatchet throw. They were quite taken with the party. They were technique, good throw. They were quite impressed with all of your abilities to throw weapons at an immobile object with great skill. And it was around this time that the party had sort of filtered out through the bar, started finding their places to sit, when the doors were thrown open and a spindly, gangly, very high-intensity sort of individual barged their way into the tavern, wearing very well-polished, looks like it's never taken a dent in its life, armor that was a bit oversized, and a big pair of spectacles on the end of his nose, which made his eyes sort of bulge out of his head, just clambering over and dragging this what appeared to be a lockbox or some sort of, maybe, I wouldn't say treasure chest, is kind of a bit big, but a large parcel wrapped in leathers and tarp that was quite hefty, to the point where he was sort of dragging it and pushing it to a table that he found all to himself. And after spreading out a wide array of papers and maps, also reached into his belongings, found a morion, which, if no one is aware, because we found out last stream, is a metal hat. It is a fancy metal hat that you sometimes wear, depending on what armors you wear.
Let's not talk down to our chat, okay?
No,
everyone knows.
I'm saying I learned about. I only knew what a morion was because I looked up armor pieces online, and it said this is a morion. Actually, chat, if anyone knows where morions originate, because I don't know what particular armies used to wear morions, but it's a thing.
I still can't even quite put a picture to what a morion looks like. I'm gonna have to look one up right
now.
Yeah,
I would try to pull one up, but I'm afraid I would totally break the stream.
It's like a Don Quixote helmet, kind of.
Yeah, kind of like a conquistador.
It slopes down, but it's got a little ridge, then a little brim along it. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was
cool.
Cool.
It's a Spanish Morion. Yeah.
And it sounds great, Morion. It was such a cool word. So he found a morion, placed it on. That's pretty much why I picked it. Was it sounded cool, and I'll work with it. Nice. Thank you, Lauren, for throwing a morion in chat. Put a morion on the table, and then went about his business quietly. And that was around the time that the party took stock and moved their way towards the table to inquire what this mysterious man in the Morian was doing at Onathi's Roadhouse. Started asking some particulars about the notice that they found, to which they received very cagey and not quite direct answers from this gentleman, and sort of not totally evading, but not answering in full truths either, and sweating bullets the entire time. Eventually, the party had either pressed enough, or in Gray's case, overwhelmed him with the good-natured spirit of the rock and safety to divulge a little bit more information. So you learned that this particular person's name is Percival Graham. Percival is a member of an order, well, a prospective, a hopeful member of an order called the Valiants. The Valiants are sort of an itinerant chivalric order. They're sort of a wandering knighthood. You can imagine them as sort of a law-keeping entity that is not really bound to one particular city. They swear themselves to the realm, and they travel all across trying to do good deeds that they can. He is not officially minted, but is attempting to be. And part of his responsibilities in terms of getting into the good graces, the better graces of the Valiants, will say, is delivering this particular package to a member of the Valiants order. The party continued to question as to, his involvement and why, and you sort of learned that Percival is related to a sort of a bloodline of historical figures who are part of the Valiants, and one very notable member being Theor Graham, his uncle, who is still alive and still a very accomplished knight in his older age, and it's sort of his the expectation of making good on the family name and the family business, if you will, of are the Knights unionized? Absolutely. Let's hear it for unions everywhere. Snaps for unions, snaps for knighthood unions. Sort of his expectation to make it good on his sort of philanthropist. Hell yeah. Make good on his family health benefits for the older knights. Yeah, they're gonna need it after fighting monsters and bandits and all kinds of fun stuff. So the party then asked, okay, so you want to, do right by your uncle. We get that. What's in the box? And I believe Gray tried to pry it open, and Percival practically leapt on top of it and said he was given strict instructions that it should not be opened until it reaches its final destination, and it is of the utmost importance, imperative, that he make sure that is carried out to the letter. So he did not allow the party to peek inside. But with that, offered 250 gold for the safe delivery of his person and this parcel to where it needs to go. He also mentioned that he has arranged for a wagon to help ferry them and their belongings and the package across the Fortune Road under the guise of the Dusty Trails Trading Company, which is usually a sort of bare-bones mercantile outfit, very unassuming, but he's managed to pull some leverage there to get that going, and will sort of be your vehicle to getting to where you need to go, which is, he mentioned, north, heading towards Danareth, but not exactly a straight shot. Obviously, wanting to deliver this package in somewhat secrecy requires taking the roads less traveled, but we'll be heading towards Danareth, which is a mainstay destination for not only all of Mira, but particular members of the party as well. So, after we'd brokered these deals and a round of drinks were ordered, there was a sudden tonal shift, gasps through the crowd as another shattering of a window announced a cruel black arrow which pierced through one of the tavern's windows and caught the shoulder of one of the halfling jugglers, followed quickly by just hails of arrows breaking through the windows, catching some townsfolk. But the party mostly managed to evade it, except I think for Gray, who got pinned up against a wall, tried to grab 2 chairs to absorb the blows, but couldn't quite lift it in time. But, because Gray was so quick to act, did manage to peer out of the window into sort of the dim night light that was heading into early evening, and on the sort of horizon line slowly approaching Onathi's Roadhouse, or I should say creeping, was a band of monstrous humanoids, these beast folk that sort of resembled part humans and part hyenas, and Gray, checking her knowledge of nature and the area of Sunstep, quickly ascertained that these creatures were gnolls. So for those of you who are not familiar with gnolls, they are once again sort of beast folk, they're hyena folk. Although, and I mentioned this in the last stream too, although they can be, divorced from ill intent and sort of live lives just as any sort of non-civilized society might, but still relatively neutral. Many gnolls are bound to the will of a powerful force for evil, known as Yinogu, who is the Lord of Slaughter. And so these particular gnolls seemed very intent on doing just that, as the party peered out and saw their glowing red eyes, as well as they all had, in their mangled maws of fangs and gnashing teeth, what's the word I want to use? Rotting sort of pustules and foam. It looked as if they were all carrying some sort of very wicked, disease-ridden sort of a flesh around their mouths and lolling out of their tongues, sickly saliva. But after that, the party had to famously roll for initiative, and we sorted into a combat. So the party fended off no rabies. Yeah, exactly. The party had to fend off waves and waves of these creatures as they biochemical warfare. Yeah, they gnolls do not follow our sanctions for warfare. They do not abide. Wave after wave of gnolls were trying to pour in through the windows. The party quickly reacted. Viola, calling upon the power of her stormy god, manifested a cloud of fog in one of the windows that the gnolls were climbing through, which made it very hard for them to shoot through, forced them to crawl in. Zorvarax bravely ran to the front of the establishment and, longsword in hand, began cutting his way through all of the beast folk that were trying to clamber inside. Some eventually did break through and started biting and gnawing at Nadara behind the counter and Musa D on the tables. But I will say, the Divines were truly on the party's side that game, because these gnolls were not rolling. The gnolls were not rolling, and the party...
Technique.
Yeah, technique, good throw. The party was...
Gnolls ain't got rolls.
Gnolls ain't got rolls. Throw it in chat, gnolls ain't got rolls. But the party was just on fire, and in Yoan's case, literally, as he threw bolts of fire across the bar. And quickly managed to decimate the majority of the hunting party, the raiding party that had ambushed Onathi's Roadhouse. Cutting down their numbers, the rest of the gnolls realized that perhaps this meal was not an easy one, and they were biting off a little bit more than they could chew, and they literally turned tail and began to run. Many got away, but I think Nadar planted one crossbow bolt into a fleeting gnoll and felled it right before it could escape. So the party actually laid waste to a pretty good amount of that scout party that found its way to Onathi's. And with that, I should also mention too, speaking of the townsfolk, I was going to say that the townsfolk rejoiced. Townsfolk also, recalling Gray's note from before, felled gnolls as well. Gray was handing out magic rocks, and 2 of them managed to strike true on these sickly gnolls and managed to bring them down. So not only fighting the good fight, but empowering others to do the same.
I'm like a modern day Brene Brown.
Yeah, just smelling like dirt and talking to rocks, just like Brene Brown. But doing the best. they could do. And where was I going with this? The party rejoiced. The townsfolk were rock and roll those knolls, says Joe. Absolutely rock and roll those knolls. And the party managed to fell the knolls. The crowd, a bit battered and scattered, although I should say none were mortally felled. In fact, Viola, I think, ran heroically to save one of the halfling jugglers who took the arrow initially and saved his life. But aside from some glancing blows, the townsfolk were saved, and Onathi joyously announced that the party would have their free stay at the inn and be fed for the night. And that is when Percival, I had to remember the character's name that I made up, said, hey, great, deals are brokered, gnolls are slain, we should all probably catch some shut-eye. And that is around, I think, where we ended last game. So, before we start moving into the actual narrative, does the current party have any questions about what we talked about, or anything needs clarified from last session that is important before we dive in?
We took a long rest, right? Everything's back.
Yes.
Yeah.
So unless the party has any sort of narrative beats they want to tie up from the night before, going into the morning, you can assume that you went to bed with full bellies and maybe a little tipsy, sort of enjoying your victory, and you are well rested. Spells are back. Health is upticked.
Sick. I just
Sounds
wanted
good.
to note that I did say my prayers before I went to sleep.
Absolutely, yes. The Lord of Fortune and Storms may have heard you.
Maybe.
Gray and Zorvarax, anything else for you, or any clarifying information?
I would think Zorvarax probably spent after the battle. His spirits were high, so he probably spent some time with those halflings, throwing more knives and axes at the wall, sharing rounds of ale along the way. But he eventually got a long rest too.
Yeah, of course. Couldn't stay up all night. He had a long day.
Oh, he's got work to do.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's got work in the morning.
Gray needed to ground herself. Gray needed to kind of connect with nature again after that weirdness. So she kind of goes out the back door instead of the front, since that's where all the dead gnolls are. And she just kind of sits for a while, watching the stars, smelling the dew, and then goes to bed.
That's been nice. Nick Brigadier says Snorvarax, lol. Wow, that one really fell hard. Although, yeah,
strong.
I mean, Nick Brigadier is the master of all puns. I honestly hope Nick is in every chat, so we are just blessed with true pun mastery.
Glad you're here.
Yes, thank you very much, Nick. Okay, so with that, I believe the party is going to find themselves eventually into a nice, long sleep. However...
Oh, no.
As most of you, by most I mean Gray and Zorvarax, because there's 3 of us tonight, rest easily, fall into a restful sleep. Viola, you have a bit of a toss and turn going on. You say your prayers, although in your situation, sometimes those prayers feel a bit more distant than you would like them to. And it causes you to have a hard time keeping your eyes shut. And when you finally do, the sleep that you have is not the most restful. You hear, in your mind's eye, there's sort of the crackling of lightning and the low rumble of thunder. And from the blackness behind your closed eyes, eventually that darkness seems to almost take the form of a wall of smoke or black fog. And you come to realize that you're navigating forward through this fog. Your feet are planted still, but you are continuously almost pulled by an unseen force through this inky, shadowy vapor and mist. And in the distance, in the very faint distance, you can see a pinprick of golden light, which you seem constantly behind, that you are slowly following. Eventually, the sea of this smoky air parts, and you find yourself fully able to see, although you find yourself at the... I should have probably looked up the parts of a boat. At the front, the prow of a sailing vessel. All around... Oh, Sir Dangle the Knight. Sir Dangle the Knight has followed us. Thank you so much. Appreciate you. You find yourself on a sailing vessel. A scene which may be all too familiar to you. A darkened sky above your head, more roiling thunderclouds, crackles of lightning which seem to pierce almost uncomfortably close to the vessel that you are on. And as you look over shoulder to shoulder, it becomes very much obvious to you and aware that you are the only one on this vessel, which should not be manned by a single person. That is a dangerous prospect. However, the light ahead of you, the boat is gaining on, never quite enough to be within reach, but before you can kind of see the silhouette through all of the roiling clouds and the piercing, brilliant energy, this aura that rests behind it, the silhouette of... Oh, Justine Grove Music. Hey, what's up, Justine? You see the silhouette of a towering figure. It's hard to tell exactly, in this current state and through this darkness and these shining lights and the haze of the ocean and the rocking of the boat, but the figure itself is gargantuan and humanoid, as far as you can tell, but you're peering at its back. And the further the boat moves forward, the slow figure just rumbles forward. You can see it's almost as if it's like waist-deep water for this thing, walking through the ocean that your boat is currently sailing across. And it doesn't seem to matter how strong or fierce these winds are, it does not gain enough speed to reach this shimmering golden figure in the distance. Anything in particular that you want to do or say in this moment?
I fall to my knees sobbing, and I am feverishly calling out Tetros, Tetros, which is the name of my god, and I awake in like a cold sweat. Or if it's a dream over, I don't want to end your dream early. If you
I love where you're going with that. We'll stick with it for 1 second, but yes, we're gonna get to that point.
No, she said she was. Go.
The magic of the Dungeon Master commands it. No, so you're on your knees, you're crying out to Tetros, you are clutching your holy symbol, and then from above you there is a rumbling sound, and you hear a commanding yet comforting voice, Viola. And as you gaze upward, there is another flash of lightning, and a figure begins to descend downward. Not the same figure that is in the distance. That is still constantly moving away from you. But this new being begins to descend. Once again, the silhouette obscured by the light behind it. But you can see as it slowly begins to draw nearer, and your eyes can ascertain more of its form. With its arms outstretched, there's sort of like a flicker of darkness on its back, and you see two massive wings unfurl in either direction from its shoulder blades as it slowly descends. And you see, and I'm going to let you take some narrative control over the description and whatnot, you see Orsino.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and so the first thing that I do is I turn around, and I am still absolutely torn at this moment, and I pull my hood back that reveals my mark on my face, and I just stare at him in this awe moment, and I say, I can't speak to him. He's not listening. Help. Can we are you here to help me? Like, what is, and I'm at a loss for words.
For chat's purposes, or do you have any particular idea of what Orsino appears like, other than, of course, a angelic figure? Any other descriptors you'd like to give him?
Yeah, he's very tall. He has a very dark complexion. He has short hair, and he is always looking very calculative. There's never a moment that he doesn't know what the next thing is going to be. He has weapons, but he doesn't need to use them. You can tell that that is never the first way that he's going to go. He's always going to start with words. Yeah.
Excellent. You can see the weapons that he has are all gilded. They're all golden, as the name of his divine lord, Tetros, the Lord of Fortune and Storms, implies. Wearing sort of a white and yellow toga, and also bearing the crest of the symbol of Tetros around his neck, which, for anyone who's not aware, is a royal crown, which is sort of surrounding a bolt of lightning, which is striking straight through its center. And so, as you say, I can't speak to him. How can we have him listen? Sort of hovering, still, like, getting down towards you, and to the point where his wings don't even constantly flap. It's just sort of like a slow, undulating movement, and his toes are always just a couple inches off the ground. It's almost like he glides, and for him, it's like completely unconscious. For him, it's just like walking. But it is definitely more of a supernatural form of movement that he is displaying. And he sort of shifts over to your side, the wings unfurled in such a way that one almost drapes over you, almost as if throwing an arm over your shoulder, but not quite, just sort of giving you a little protective brace. And his eyes, which are just piercing like a hawk, gazing off into the distance, watching the golden form of Tetrios continue to charge forward through the seas, further away from you. He says, "My child, he cannot hear you, for it is not your time to be heard. You know that there is still much to be done before your voice can be earned in his ear."
And to that, I just melt back down to the ground. And
Continue.
Oh, sorry.
No, keep going.
And I grab my sigil and I say, "But I need him."
And he sort of bends down, like almost like crouching, but once again, he just levitates. So it's almost like he's just like anti-gravity sort of getting closer to you, and puts a hand on your armored shoulder at this point, and he says, "You might not know it yet, but he needs you as well. You are Asimar. You are a rare agent of his will in this world. And though it may not make sense in time, it will be made clear to you and the realm."
I just let that wash over me. I'm just silent.
He nods solemnly, letting you absorb the heft of the information. "You've met others this past night, have you not?"
Yes.
To this, he straightens up, and he takes a look sort of behind his shoulder towards where the rest of the boat would unfurl. Do you join him in looking?
Yes.
As you turn, you can see the other 5 members of the party, all doing various things across the ship. You can see some like hoisting the sails. You can see some like trying to scoop water out of like the crivets desperately as the ship is riding these harsh waves. You can see like tying knots. If you would approach them, it's almost as if they are acting almost out of time with you. The closer you get, there's almost sort of like a blur on the edge of their features, as if they're there, but that you can't truly interact with them. And as he turns to watch the scene unfurling of the other heroes struggling with this wrecking boat chasing after Tetrios, they too are important to his will.
And how are they important to him in this way? I can't bring them with me. That you saw what happened when I brought everyone else with me.
Your pilgrimage will be a dangerous journey. This is true. But the ones you have found, or the ones that have found you, are made of sterner stuff. They are able to weather a journey that might break others of ill heart.
And I say, so they're my family now.
To this he smiles and says, family can be a great many things to different people. That will ultimately be a choice you must make in the future. But know that no matter what you end up being to each other, your paths were meant to cross for a reason. There are powers at play far beyond even my comprehension. They wish for you to journey together.
Thank you for showing me this.
And to this he smiles and he places a hand on your shoulder again and sort of tilts you so that you can gaze over at Tetrios, the shadow of which. And once again, sort of peering with that sort of all-knowing gaze, he says, should you follow them? And to this, like, this particular phrase rumbles out like another wave through the storm cloud, almost echoing out in all directions from the boat. And as it reaches the distance where the golden silhouette is, you can see Tetrios stops for a moment. The waves around his waist stop, and the waters become calm. And for a moment, you begin to see his head turn to the side ever so slowly, as if you were just about to gaze on his visage, like crowned as like the golden sun of the energy is. And then Orsino locks dead eyes with you, turns to face you, and says, and should you stray? And at this moment, there is another crack of lightning from above, which strikes dead center into the boat. And the wood splinters. You can see your compatriots who are manning the boat are tossed upward and aside, their mirage-like figures dissipating as you find yourself slowly falling through this dark crack in the center of the boat, which just leads into the gaping abyss of the sea below you. And that is when...
Yeah, I wake up in just a cold sweat, and I'm crying, sleep crying. You know the sleep crying. Lila always crying. And I start to make my way. I just get ready because I can't go back to sleep after that. So the moment I just start to get ready for the day, don't even know what time it is, don't even care. I start to get ready for the day, and I sit and I pull out my Bible and I read for about an hour just to make sure that I'm devoted, to devote myself back into my practice and use that moment to like meditate in and look inward. And then from there, I head downstairs to the tavern.
Excellent. Give me a Constitution save. I want to see how much rest you got last night while you were wrestling with your dark dreams.
4.
Okay, so I'm gonna grant you a point of inspiration for what's the word? Humoring me with your Holy Vision. So if you want, you can choose to use it on that botch
Yeah, I'm
concentration.
gonna use it real quick.
Okay.
Okay, hold on. Okay, that's a 13.
Okay, all right. So yeah, there's a moment where like dark circles under your eyes. You can feel. It's almost as if like you wake up in a cold sweat, but it's almost as if you feel as though you are actually caked in salt water, and you feel as though like your bones have actually experienced the retching of a boat. And for a moment you feel like you're almost going to succumb to it. But then through your faith and through your stout heart, you manage to press forward. You do not suffer any exhaustion through the night. And you manage to make your way downstairs in good health. So then, Gray and Zorvarax, you do not have any mysterious dreams that you're aware of.
Lucky.
Tell me about your morning routine. What happens? Where do you go? What do you do? Fill me in.
Well, I assumed that I would have made sure that since Gray was hanging out in the back all night, she made it to her room safe, and that there's no snakes under her bed or anything like that. Before I then retire to my room, and then when I wake up, I would probably do the same.
So
Just
you
a little tap on Gray's door. You alive in there?
I kick a rock under the door.
Good.
wait through the door, like
Under
it.
Like
Okay.
a little rock-shaped hole at the bottom
Yeah.
of the door. Just poop.
Oh, Nathy's like, yeah, stay for free, and Gray's just like kicking holes and everything. You kick a rock under the door, okay?
I open the door.
And you open the door. One, then two. Gray creaks open the door. You can see her standing on the other side. You're free to interact.
I did my job another day. Shall we meet the others downstairs?
As you you non-verbally communicate in the way that you two have grown accustomed to. March your way downstairs. You find that as you descend into like the main hall where the feasting takes place and the drinking takes place, it is understandably a sort of somber morning. There are a lot of people who had stayed the night who, although, survived, were still maybe scuffled or escaped, and so they're tending to wounds and drinking their sorrows and all whatnot. The Knoll bodies, you can see there are a couple of attendants that work at Onathi's who are slowly but surely dragging the corpses out of the bar or out of the surrounding area and moving them sort of further out towards the hills. Nobody knows. Yeah, absolutely. Moving the corpses out
Nobody, no
of
problem.
the place where people are trying to rest and eat and sort of recover from the night before. You can see Onathi watches as you are coming down and says, "Well, hail and well met, the saviors of old Nathy's Roadhouse. Come on. You think I ain't got something hot and ready for you? Take a seat. It's all on the house."
Don't mind if I do. Thank you very much. Well met. Good morning, sir.
Right back at you.
Sit down.
Actually, do we see is Percival around? Is he out yet?
So as you're sitting down at a table and Delora comes by, one special for you, a special for you, special and a half for you. Sort of just passing out the food. You can see, we'll say, she flirted with Musadi before. We'll say that Musadi and Yoan and Nadara are present with us, but definitely, for narrative purposes, tending to their wounds in such a way that they will be mostly indisposed for the session. But yeah, she'll throw Musadi a wink and plop him a little extra serving as she passes out the food. As you all are getting into your feasting, there is, as you are becoming very accustomed to with Percy, a sound of clambering feet and a struggling arm as you see, you hear tunk, 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 as he's trying to drag
When I hear that, I jump up and I go up and try to help them with the case.
Absolutely.
You can't build. You are too small for this, man. Oh, that's only a 9 strength if that's what you would want for that.
I will say for narrative purposes, you are like 100% stronger than Percival is, even with like a
so.
9.
Yeah.
So like, yeah, almost like one-handed, you like hoist, you know, the satchel up, and
I kind of lift him up with it.
yeah, you can see like, although he's grateful, he doesn't like relinquish a hand on it. There's like a very nervous energy about him. Oh, thank you, Solverax. You hail and hearty warrior. You, yes. Thank you. If we can just make sure this ends up over at the table and very close to me, where I can keep an eye on it and whatnot. We can talk more business, shall we?
Oh, just looking to help, Percy.
Can I do it?
Not taking it myself.
Can I do an Arcana check on the box?
An Arcana check on
Did
the
we-
box. What's up?
Did we do that already? I don't remember doing
You
it.
haven't. You really
I
haven't
don't think we
seen
did, yeah.
the box itself because it's been covered in tarp and leather and
Okay.
whatnot.
Got
So as far as you can see, all you know is just a very heavy container.
Got it.
Yeah.
Cool.
So Zorvarax easily handles the satchel towards the table, plops it down. Percy takes a seat directly next to it, almost keeping like a knee, like a thigh on the side of it at all times, as opens up his case of belongings and begins pouring out over all the maps and charts and whatnot. So Nathi made good on his promise. Good full breakfast, and bellies as well for the journey ahead. How are you all feeling? Tell me. Haven't turned tail?
There's something I'd like to do. The bodies of the gnolls.
Mm-hmm.
Am I able to see if whatever's infecting them is like something specific or just like a generic gnoll disease?
Ooh, a very good question. You're saying you're gonna not, or you're not interacting with Percival right now. You're heading out to see the bodies.
Yeah, I meant to speak up earlier, but I didn't want to interrupt. But yeah, I do. I really do want to do this.
Okay, that's fine. Do you want to say that you were doing this before joining the
Yes,
the
please,
breakfast?
yes.
Okay, all right. So
Yes.
well, all right. So Gray,
Retroactively, yeah.
yeah, retroactively, time hopping, it's D&D. Yeah. Gray, you make your way out towards the hillside where they are laying out the decimated gnolls from the nights before, and you know some of the attendants they're wearing their aprons and they're wearing like wrapping their hands as thick as many wraps as they can to try to not only touch the blood and the mangy fur but also these festering boils and whatnot that are covering their battered bodies, and sort of dragging them out, and wiping on their chest and their stomach. They see you approach, and they immediately, most of them, you know, bow their heads or put a hand over their heart. I guess they wouldn't know your name since I doubt you introduced yourself. But they would recognize that you are a magic caster of the wilderness. And so sort of they bow their head and say, Lady Druid, fine to meet you. What brings you out here?
I want to just kind of look at them, and I don't really want to talk. I just want to go up to the body, and I just want to look. I acknowledge them, you know, I'm not like rude, but I don't want to talk. What do I see?
You can see as like you like look at them and just sort of like soundlessly, not rudely, but like, you know, in your way, soundlessly move. They can see that you want to get closer to the bodies, and you can hear like a whisper over your shoulder, like, "Well, better her than me." It sort of like takes like one big step back as they sort of wheel and get closer back to Onathi's. You can give me. Let me think of the check. You can give me give me a medicine check. Give me a medicine check.
Ooh. Where's medicine? Okay. 8.
8?
We're making up for our knockout rolls last set.
Yeah, you're gonna
It's
be
just
really
how it
great at
is
combat
sometimes.
and then like
Yeah.
know nothing about the story. Perfect.
Yeah.
Actually,
You
9. 9.
9?
No, wait. Sorry. Oh, I'm gonna ask
Oh,
a
wait,
super
20.
basic question. I'm so sorry.
Oh wait.
Oh,
Hold on. So
silly,
that's
silly
20.
me.
Just kidding.
So it's it's a medicine's under wisdom, which would be a +3, but it's I'm proficient in it, and then it's 5. So what would I add to my roll? Great level 1 moment.
Yes. Proficiency bonus is
Okay.
+2. Modifier is 3, so it'd be total
Cool.
5 added to your roll.
Okay, so 8.
8 total. Okay. And somehow it went down a point, even though you realized you had 5. Yeah. Excellent. Great. You take a look over the bodies, and I mean you in your training in sort of in wood lore and herbalism and things like that. You've seen a great. I didn't know where that was going. You have seen a great deal of various sicknesses and illnesses. Although this one does not register to you as like one that you're particularly familiar with, you can't tell if it's either naturally occurring or if it is something more
Okay,
sinister.
well, Gray knows that sometimes her brain isn't as smart as it should be. So I'm going to go ahead and cast Detect Poison and Disease, because I got a weird hunch about this.
Okay. I like what you're doing here. Let me take a look at Detect Poison and Disease. Detect Poison.
For the duration, you can sense the presence and location of poisons, poisonous creatures, and diseases within 30 feet of you. You can also identify the kind of poison, poisonous creature, or disease in each case.
Okay.
Casting spell.
And you know never to trust a big butt and a smile. Because you can detect poison.
Poison! Okay, and you can actually cast this I'm looking at the spell page now. You can cast this as a ritual. So if you choose to take the entire 10 minutes, which there's really no reason for you to not.
Yeah. We're in no rush.
Yeah, you're in no rush. It won't cast you a
We're
spell slot.
still sleeping, and because we're back in time.
Yeah, he's still trying to drag that box down the stairs, so you got time. So yeah, we'll say we'll count that as a success on your check. So yes, you can. Although I will say that you still don't know exactly what the corruption is. Like you don't have a well, Jeezy put a peach emoji in chat. Although you don't know the exact nature of this source of corruption, it does seem like a foul disease which is not natural in nature.
Okay. Are the people still around that I totally ignored before?
Yeah, you can see they're sort of like meandering. There may be I'm trying to think of like what the fantasy equivalent would be to like sharing a cigarette outside. I don't really know when cigarettes were invented. Hey, cigarettes are a thing now. Yeah, they're lighting up their pipes. They're sharing a little tobacco. Just sort of getting a little break from dragging corpses out of the inn.
I just walk up, I point to the bodies, and I go, sick?
And like the one, we'll say a sandy-haired woman, very short-cropped hair, sort of a square jaw, freckles on her face. Well, they're not well, if that's what you're asking.
Are you safe?
Like her eyes go wide for a moment, looks at her friend. I thought I was. I keep forgetting that my lights change at 8:30. I gotta turn that trigger off. I thought I was.
Yeah.
But she seems very nervous of the way you just stared at her and asked that.
Okay, Gray's getting frustrated because she's not the best at talking with people and has very little words. So she goes, what sick? What sick?
And shares a glance over to her friend. We'll say the friend is a half-elf gentleman, darker complexion. We'll say has his hair pulled back into like a sort of a thick braid at the back of his neck, and sort of glances. Well, I'm not a doctor by any means, but there has been talk of some. Did you just pull a fist on me and I didn't see it? There has been talk of some sort of foul influence, I guess you could say, in Sunstep. And it seems like these poor souls are maybe caught it. I'm only telling you what I hear from travelers on the road. I don't know much myself.
Okay. Shit. I nod. I say, I hand a heart, safe, and I walk back to the tavern.
You can see as they nod about you, the woman who was kind of a little nervous before just nods and says, "Yeah, safe. Yeah, me too." It like takes like a drag of her bite.
So misunderstood. I'm so misunderstood.
As Gray walks back to Onathi's just in time to join the party for their breakfast, and Percival sitting down, and Zorvarax carrying the package over for him, and Percival once again saying, "Ah, yes, haven't turned tail, have we?"
Not yet.
Well, that is good for me to hear.
I mean, my tail has turned a couple times, but I'm still here.
There's like a moment where Percival like points and goes, and then realizes you're not joking. And it's like, oh,
You
yes.
mean this?
Yeah.
And I turn my tail to him. I just did again.
Absolutely, my good man. You keep it turning. You keep it limber. Keep it moving. Very important to keep your tail oiled, I suppose. Well, I guess now that we are all here, we can maybe talk a little more specifics. I did all promise you a certain amount of payment, did I not, for your good services? And I am a man of my word, and so are the valiant. So, sort of like rifles through his coin purse and starts counting out some coins, starts stacking them up on the table and sliding them across to each of the party member. I did say, of course, we would negotiate some now and some later, because we need to make sure that all of me and all of this gets to where it needs to go before the full payday. But, money please, as the chat says, but for now, you can all entreat yourself to this hefty sum, as he slams down 21 gold for each of the party members. You all have that in your hand now.
21?
Well, it's 250 for the entire job. You're getting half up front, divided by 6, rounding up. So if I'm doing that math correctly, that should be 21.
Wow. Your math so good, dude.
I had to do it
Can
all
I get a
before stream,
math
because if
check?
you would have asked me to do that during
Off
stream,
camera.
I would have not known the answer. Would have not known the answer.
21,
I
you
looked at-
said?
I say 21. I say 21
21.
shining pieces of sovereign gold for y'all.
I look at Percy and I say, "You got your spear?"
And to that, he looks towards his belongings, and you can see there's, of course, his... I would say beloved, but it's not... He hasn't quite got the use of it yet. His large sword, and laying atop of it, strapped into the scabbard, is the spear, and says, "Don't worry, Lady Viola, I have ensured myself the armament which you have so graciously gifted me with. I will endeavor to do as good a job with it as any knight would do with a sword," which, like, I would like to just reiterate that, knights typically use swords, but I will give it a shot. Give it the old try.
Hey, why don't we try this? You take the smallest guy, just so that you get the practice in until you're crowned, until you're actually knighted.
Oh, he doesn't need to worry. He doesn't need to worry. I'll be here. I'll
You
show
better
this
stay
man the
close.
ropes with his sword. Or
To-
at least make sure he doesn't die.
Oh, that's fair.
Hopefully.
To Viola suggesting that Percival is gonna see some combat. You can see color drains from his face a little bit, and his fingers tighten around his writing implements and start to shake a little bit. Yeah, of course, yes. a knight of the Valiance, of course, would never shirk his responsibility to do righteous combat. But then as soon as, like, Zorvarak starts saying that...
I would say when I do that, I pat him hard on the back, too, and it probably...
His entire skeleton just shudders under your scaled palm as there's sort of a very audible like, yes, I will very gladly take you up on that offer, Zorvarax, you just incredibly beefy thing, you. Yes, please stay in front of me at all times if you could.
Beefy? I'm not a cow.
I give him a shocked look.
I thought that was something that, you know, warrior type, you want to be strong, big, strong.
Oh, yes,
big,
I am
beefy.
big like a cow, like beef. I see. Yes.
Yes!
Yes,
Yes!
I am beefy. I've never heard that before. I'm gonna keep that.
You've never heard that one. In your entire life, you've never heard that one. Oh, well, I'll let you keep it. It's yours for free.
May have missed it.
With that, he sort of calls your attention over towards the yellowed parchment that he has been scribbling upon. Now you can see here, I've sort of mapped a route of sorts through Sunstep. Now bear in mind, once again, we are taking perhaps roads that have not seen many eyes or feet, right? We're going across the frontier, but... I believe in a couple days' time, given events and weather and whatnot, we should reach, as the DM references his notes, we should reach...
The GM, who? What?
What? Reach the lip of the Presham Channel. Now that is a river that should lead us northward towards Danareth along Riverholm to our destination. We want to meet... our valiant contacts, who should be able to ferry us the rest of the way.
Great. What time do we leave?
Well, I just have a few orders of business outside. I'm going to check on our new wagon. But you should all stay, finish your meal while I finish up my business. I'll load the old strong box on top. You know how it is.
Yeah.
Would you need any assistance loading? Sorry.
Yeah, I go with him to help.
Yeah.
Okay, all three of you go?
Oh, no, I go to talk to Halfling.
Oh, okay,
I go to check on.
Okay,
Yeah.
so then, so Gray and Zorvarax will nod as they, between the two of them, just once again, hardly any effort to get that strong box up, but Percival keeps one hand on it. He's just, like, walking beside it with, like, one hand on it, like...
Yeah,
he's helping.
Seeing the effort that he was trying to lift it, Zorvarax like he sees it. He appreciates Percival for trying at all, but he's like, you can't do that, dude. I think he would go along with him.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. As the three of you march your way out towards the caravan, I'm gonna cut to Viola for a moment. So Viola takes a glance around the bar and sees the gaggle of halflings who are sitting in their usual spot near the dartboard, or dartboard, knife board, which actually Viola mended, I believe, last session. After Zorvarax split it in twain with an overstrong throw, Viola managed to use her magics to mend it back into place. And you can see the halflings. Some of them are, you know, once again throwing knives. Although the emotions there before it was like sort of jovial and it was almost like trick-shotting and like having fun. Some of them are like half-heartedly just like not entirely in it. Some are like, you can see there's sort of visible anger at this point, and they are just throwing forcefully at the board, mostly going wide. But you can see one halfling in particular with a shoulder completely wrapped and bound and splinted, the one that you very graciously aided the night before, is sitting at the table, just sort of holding a dagger, but just sort of like idly spinning it around and not really interacting with the board at all, the target at all.
Go over to that guy, and I sit down next to him, and I say, "You okay? How are you feeling? How are you feeling this morning?"
He says, sort of like looking down into the wood grain, sort of like idly, sort of digging one of the strips a bit deeper with the end of his knife. Not so good. Bad shoulder, Bad throw, bad throw.
I know it was a bad throw, but you will heal. I believe it. And I gather them all together and I say, thank you all for your help last night. And I grab my holy sigil and I say, would you mind if I give you a blessing?
To this, they all sort of look around once, doing that sort of garbled, what's the word? Translation between each other. Blessing, blessing, blessing. They finally look to like their matron halfling who did a lot of the translating before, and sort of says a few words like in halfling to them as they all sort of nod their heads in unison. Ah, blessing. Yes. And they all quickly tumble and huddle around. Like, you're sitting at the table, and they, like, roll and tuck and tumble until they're all sort of circling around you on either side of the table, and they're all sort of, like, very attentively looking at you and smiling.
I love it. So I grab my holy symbol, and I bow my head, and I wave my arm out, and I say, may the god of Tetrios, may he bless you and keep you all safe through the next God knows how long. Thank you all for your help. Go on, be well.
To this, they all sort of close their eyes, and you can see, like, some of them are, like, they're, like, sort of peeking out of the corner of their eyes, like, waiting to see if anybody else is having a divine moment. Some are, like, actually sort of, like, vibing with it and and really enjoying it. It's sort of a mixed emotion of those who are, like, with your sermon and those who are, like, might not be as touched by the divine as you are. Actually, give me a religion check. Let's see how moving your speech was to these halflings.
I've been rolling like...
You didn't like it? Oh,
nat 20.
Oh, okay. So you can see those that are less devout, right, are still looking around. Like they're very appreciative. They all sort of like put a hand on your gauntlet and like nod and smile. Those that are really resonating with them, they sort of like pull in a little bit closer to you, and they whisper to one another in halfling and Tetrios, sort of like going back and forth until the matron sort of calls your attention again. Could you tell us more about Tetrios?
Yeah. And I tell them all about Tetrios, the god of thunder, and what's the other part that you keep saying?
For sure, I will help you as DM
Thank
here.
you. I tap in the DM.
Yeah. Well, I mean, because for anyone who's watching and is not familiar with D&D lore, like all these gods are made up for the world of Mira. So, and you can check out more about the gods on our Discord. Random plug.
Also, with the nat 20, I think you deserve to not have to do any more.
Yeah, you don't have to do any more work.
Yeah.
So Tetrios, there are primarily in the lore of the gods of Mira, there are kind of like 6 divines, like actual godlike figures. There's some others that are less recognized, but there are 6 pretty much like primary deific entities, and many hold Tetrios to be sort of the head of the pantheon, if you will, if unofficially. Tetrios is a god of many things. Primarily is a god of civilization. Wants to embetter the lives of the mortal kind of Mira, help them build high and sturdy walls. Because he governs civilization, he also governs things like law and order and keeping society functioning properly. Because he governs cities and order, he also governs commerce and finance and wealth. Also governs fortune and luck, because he also governs money. And on top of all of that, he also governs storms. That's kind of like his thing. You know, if you are in Tetrios' good graces, fair skies, fair fortune. But if you actively work against the aims of civilization, he will righteously bring you down with a bolt of thunder from on high. So a very powerful figure, a very notable god in the realms of Mira. And you can see like the halflings are all sort of excitedly nodding, and you can see they're whispering back and forth to one another. Tetrios, ooh, and they make like arm motions like they're throwing lightning bolts, and they say, "Ha, good throw, good throw." They're like getting excited about the idea of it. As the halfling matron says, "Where could we learn more? Very interested."
Yeah. I take out my Bible and I hand it to her.
And she takes it with sort of wide eyes for a moment. The sort of weight of the gift on her. Are you sure? Tetrios, your god.
He is my god, but I already know that book front and back, and I wink at her.
And to this, she clutches it to her chest as some of the halflings like reach in and they put a hand on the book and they, oh, good throw. And they sort of like excitedly flip open and they start like scanning through some of the, mostly just like skipping towards the cool pictures of like Tetrios like throwing thunderbolts on people, getting to the good stuff, you know.
Those are the best parts.
Yeah, those are the best parts. But with that, the sort of matron sort of bows her head in reverence. Thank you. You do much for me and my boys.
I say, you're welcome. And then I grab her hand and I squeeze it. And I go to leave, but before I leave, I walk over to the window and I cast Mending. And I wink at
Onathi?
Obernath. Yeah, I wink at him and I say, thank you for your hospitality. And I head out.
As you look at Onathi, he actually perks up from, miss, if it wouldn't be any imposition, I would like to have a word with you.
Mm-hmm.
And he he sort of like beckons you towards the bar, towards like one of the areas which aren't so populated with patrons nursing their wounds. He says, first of all, I just want to say that I am mighty thankful for what you and your lot did last night. I mean, that was some fierce fighting, the likes of which I've not seen in a good amount of my days. I tell you that. We would have been Noel Chow. Y'all hadn't been here. That's all I gotta say.
Yeah.
And it's because of that I have I have some news that you might be interested in.
I lean forward onto the counter and I say, let's go.
He reaches behind the counter to what appears to be like a roll, like a scroll case, leather scroll case, and unfurls it and sort of holds it in your direction. And you can see it appears to be a bounty poster. It is signed by the itinerant order, the Chivalric Valiants of Mira, right? And it is written, it says, wanted for dead or alive, we'll say, but mostly dead, the Rotfang Knoll Horde. And there's sort of like art, like, crude drawings of like these hyena men, these like rotting hyena men looking towards the artist rendition. You can see penned underneath it says, reward for claws, so proof of destruction, and then also says special reward, and in the center of the artist rendition of this slobbering gnoll horde is a particular gnoll figure, sort of standing maybe a head higher than the rest of them, wearing tattered leathers and what appear to be cloth, which is hooded cloth, kind of atypical to what you've seen from the other gnolls, wearing...
Are the other ones wearing clothes? I just assumed they were naked.
They're wearing like
bits just flopping
around.
Like...
Well, you know that gnolls, they're kind of like scavengers, so they don't do much in terms of. They can probably make like crude hides, which some of them did wear, but any other armor they would probably been like tattered, beaten up leathers from things they've previously killed and then just like took upon themselves. So any armor that they wear is like practically falling off of their bodies and it's stolen from other living things. But yeah, you can assume that some of them were wearing clothes. This one, of course, is wearing a similar thing, but also sort of like this dark shredded cloth. And you can see around her neck is a series like tied on ropes and string is a series of what appear to be like human fingers. Or I should say mortal fingers, because it could be dwarves or halflings. You can just see like the remains and maybe like teeth like mortal teeth strung along, sort of in the center, and in big bold print it says Corpse Eater is the name of the central knoll, and then it says bounty of 200 for the destruction of Corpse Eater.
I say, can I take that scroll?
Why, yes you can. And he sort of like looks sort of sheepishly to the side. I heard you doing your sermon to Tetrios over there. I wouldn't say I'm a particularly devout man, but on the day that I started laying the timbers for Onathi's Roadhouse, you bet that I said a prayer to Tetrios, because I knew we was carving out a place to be and to live out in the frontier. And, well, so long as these gnolls are rampaging the way they are, folk like us, we ain't gonna make it very long out in Sunstep. I ain't trying to use anything against you, miss. I just know that Tetrios is close to your heart, and I think he might want you to help, he said sort of nervously.
I say, of course, this is part of our mission. I believe that we are here to help you. We wouldn't have been all here in the same place if we were not meant to have this happen. And so I grab his hand and I say, we will do this for you, especially because of your hospitality. And then I take the scroll and I put it in my pack. And then I say, would you be offended if I tipped you?
To this, his eyes wide and says, ma'am, I've never met an Onathi that did not love a piece of gold straight into his pocket. That's all I gotta say.
I pull 6 gold out and I hand it to him. And I say, thank you so much.
He smiles wide as he has like an oversized tankard that's like resting on the bar for like tips, and you can hear it like happily clink 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 clattering into the vessel. As he smiles, and he sort of like, you see, almost like gives like a lucky rub on the side and like pats it twice. Y'all have been a true blessing to Onathis, and I swear all of Sunstep, people are gonna be singing your praises one day. I know it right here in this tavern. They're gonna sing.
And I look at him and I say, don't lose faith. And then I wink and I turn and I leave.
I love that that's like Viola's like calling card, like, I'm spreading devout knowledge, wink. And he smiles as you march up back towards your compatriots. Back outside, you can see as you make your way clear of the front, the scene where Gray and Zorvrax are. The Dusty Trails caravan wagon looks like it is barely being held together by every bent and rusty nail that could have been scrounged up out of the workshop. Some of the wheels aren't the same size. Some of the wood grain isn't even from the same type of tree. This thing has definitely been rode hard, put away wet, I believe is the phrase. You can see there is like a tarp of like cloth, which is just nailed into the side, that is painted on Dusty Trails Trading Caravan. Some mostly misspelled, but it's on there. And you can see the noble steeds who are drawing forth this wagon across the Fortune Road are a pair of knock-kneed donkeys, which look like they could not be less enthused to be there. Just like lazy-eyed, Wells Fargo wagon and mirror. Yeah, absolutely. Gnawing on like the prairie grass and just like looking dead-eyed into the distance. You can see Gray and Zorvrax are now hoisting the parcel into the back of the wagon, and Percival, always wanting to be a help, sort of hands on his hip, standing very close. Well, bend with your knees. Don't need to throw your back out before the journey. That's gonna be a long, hard ride with a thrown out back. So yeah, just if you wanna get down, and he sort of like demonstrates at a distance, like sort of like this, sort of like in his armor, sort of rattling, like slinking off the side of his shoulder.
Thank you, smaller man. I know how to lift things. Also, I love your caravan. Zorvarax is a fan of the scrappiness of this wheel wagon we got going on. So he's actually looking at it as a piece of beauty. He probably will lift the stuff on and then kind of take a walk around and be like, "Oh, they used a different wheel here than here. Oh, wow."
Yes.
I'm going around the wagon behind
Ingenious.
Zorvarax, and I'm casting mending on anything that looks like it's not gonna hold.
I was gonna say, as someone who's like good with woodwork, can I like do anything to prep the wagon?
Ooh, okay, I like that. Can you give me, God, let's say, cut. You're woodworking. Let's say an athletics check, and you have woodworking and carpentry tools with you. If I'm not saying you have one or the other.
Oh my god.
I know that you're proficient with them. I don't know if you have them on
New
your
cat
person.
enters the chat.
New cat enters chat.
It was
Here it
just
is.
her birthday.
Aw. Happy birthday.
So sweet. Happy birthday, yeah.
Shoot, sorry, what did I need?
Well, I mean,
Athletic.
you might have. I know that you're proficient. I think with either carpentry tools or woodworking tools. I don't know if you actually have any in your inventory.
I don't think I do, damn it.
Oh, okay.
I have
I got a hammer if you need.
All right.
I got a compass.
I got
I got blacksmithing tools.
Hell yeah! You can armor this thing up before you saddle out War Wagon. Yeah, you can. You have the knowledge for it, so I was gonna maybe give you advantage if you had the tools, but you don't have the tools. So give me an intelligence check. We'll say, since you don't really have the tools, you can't really hammer it in there, but you know the knowledge of how to use the wood.
17.
17. Okay. Viola is walking around, Holy Sigil, sort of panning it over the wagon, and you can see there's like golden light emanating from the holy icon, and when it passes over like a bent or broken nail, you can see it like straightens out and like fits itself into place. You can see if there's like any errant wood that's sort of like peeling out. Gray marches up to it, probably I assume just points and grunts at Zorvarax, who then thunk just hammers it, just like one big swing.
Zorvarax would do it, but not because he wanted to. He'd be like, "Really? You don't like that? Okay, all right, I'll fix it."
If
And then
Gray
once it's, like,
says,
if it looks a lot better at the end, Zorvarax's gonna be kind of disappointed. He'd be like, "Oh, just kind of looks like every other wagon now."
it is
I kept her
definitely still
before.
a bit of a mishmash, but it doesn't seem to be as jangly or as wobbly as it once did. It definitely looks like it's going to be a sturdier, straighter ride for the lot of you.
Also, the spell Beast Bond only lasts 10 minutes, right?
What
Or
are you
is that
trying
just how
to do
long it
with
takes?
these donkeys?
There's 2 donkeys.
I'm
I
trying to
love
make
animals.
donkey friends. Let's see. I'll look up Beast Bond for you real quick.
It says duration, concentration, 10 minutes. So I don't know if that's how long it takes to cast it, or if that's how long it lasts.
That is how long it lasts. It takes an action to cast, and then you'll
Okay.
establish the telepathic link for 10 minutes at a time.
So then I just pet the donkeys.
I think I do too. Zorvarax does too, for sure.
While they're petting the donkeys, I walk in between the two of them and I show them the bounty poster that Onaki has given us. And I say, he would really love if we could do this. Also, it would be really convenient to beat our purses. Am I right?
You
And
don't
also,
have to
look at this.
convince me. Those people attacked us out of nowhere. They had no honor. They must be put down.
Love that. Also, look at all those fingers. That is scary.
Fingers? That's what those are?
Yeah. Gray, what are your
It
thoughts?
gags a little bit.
Great. Are we all
But
aligned?
no, but
Be
I'm
nearby?
not,
Can we just like walk over to the forest over there and find him and slay him, or
Are
do
we?
we know?
Is anyone proficient in tracking, or how would we go about tracking?
You
Well, I
could.
guess, DM, could you
I
tell
am
us on the
not.
map, like, are they close?
Well, you don't know where they
One
might be.
Gotcha.
Patricia
Okay,
just
okay.
has, yeah. Did Onathi say anything about them coming often? I can't remember if he did it before or not.
He mentioned that they might be coming back.
Yeah, you can infer, Viola. You could infer from the conversation with Onathi that the Rotfang Knolls, which is like this pack, the name of this pack, has been vexing the lands for some time. The sudden rise, we'll say, of power with Corpse Eater has definitely emboldened them, we'll say, to be a bit more aggressive on the frontier. And so you can assume that there's probably been smaller, less permanent encampments that have tried to make their stake in Sunstep that were overwhelmed by the Knolls. And so Onathi is sort of assuming that unless they're put down, the pack will grow.
Is Percival nearby? Is he also kind of attending to the caravan with us right now?
Well, he was just sort of watching you with sort of
Yeah.
like he adjusts his glasses for a moment. You see the magnification sort of as he watches like the magic and the. Well, I knew I was hiring a team of skilled adventurers and magisters and warriors, but also repair people. Why, that is truly a feat. Consider me flabbergasted. I am without words. I am unable to speak. I have nothing to say. He just sort of says like 6 more phrases that accumulate to I have nothing of note to
I
add.
walk away.
If you call it repairs.
Zorvrax like breaks something on the way out like prepare.
I walk away and I walk to the edge of the forest where the Knolls came from, and I want to like look around to see if I see any tracks.
Yeah, you can give me a survival check.
Let's see. That's an 18.
An 18? Yes. So obviously the Knolls traveled under cover of night, but they still traveled in force. And there hadn't been. I actually rolled for a weather effect to see if there'd be like rain or anything, and lo and behold, there was none. So you can see like in the dusty prairie earth, over the hillside, there are some deep-seated clawed foot marks. You can see too, like the way that Knolls prowl. You can see it's sort of intermittent, like some are on 2 legs and then some are on 4. It's almost like they gallop and lope on all 4s or on 2s, depending on their speed and like how many are traveling together. But you can definitely see there is some embedded prints of Knoll claw feet leading in a certain direction out towards the little wooded copses out on the prairie.
Also, pardon me, I don't mean to interrupt, but the poster that you showed us said claws, and also this person both have their own independent bounty.
Yeah, so obviously for like the smaller whelps and like the scouts and whatnot, they'll obviously pay you for ridding Sunstep of them. But yeah, Corpse Eater is like big.
So while we're looking and talking with Percy, I'm gonna go and start collecting some claws.
Ooh, okay.
I'm gonna go back to those dead bodies and hack off some claws if I can. Because Zorvrax, he collects that shit all the time.
He loves this stuff.
He loves it. He lives for this.
Zorvrax, as you head towards the bodies, which have now been sort of baking for a little bit in the Sunstep heat, if they did not already smell of like musk and blood and pus, they are not smelling any better.
Used to that.
Used to that.
Explore Verax. Just said in the chat.
Explore Verax. Oh my God, Nick. I would
that
be
is so appropriate.
I want to be mad at you, but I literally cannot. You bend over towards one of the bodies. I'm gonna assume you probably have some sort of like dagger, like cutting implement on it, unless you just full on take a sword.
I got my hatchets.
Yeah.
I got my hatchets.
Oh yeah,
no,
that's true.
Actually, no, that's Zorvrax though. He would use his longsword. He would just hack. Even though it's inefficient, just that's what he's used before. It's the easiest one.
Love it.
Can you give me a Constitution save as you try to hack away some of these body parts?
Ooh, that's a 17 plus 2, so 19.
19. Zorvax, as you are hacking and hewing your way through the corpses, there's not only just the pungent stench of death and rot, but there's...
He was not there with Gray.
Yeah. There's definitely some splatters of, like, blackened blood upon your armor, which equally smell just as foul. And you retch for a moment, and there's like a turn in your stomach. You almost feel as though something might be gripping your innards, but you steel yourself, and you manage to scoop.
It was good and dry this time, my heaves.
And you manage to scoop them into a satchel that hopefully won't continue to pester you in the future. With the amount of gnolls that you slew, if I'm doing this math correctly,
It's Sloan.
Sloan, as it says, Sloan.
I thought it was Slaw. Whatever.
Yeah.
They slurred.
Slur.
You wager that if you could deliver these trophies to the Valiants, that you could earn yourself about a... I did the math, but I'm gonna double check myself because I don't trust myself.
How many claws do I have, just so I can put it in my inventory for now?
You have the assorted claws of 16 gnolls. I'm not gonna say that. You can say
16 gnolls.
How many toes do they have on each?
Yeah, about to say they
Yeah.
got. Assume that you collect enough that the Valiants would know that you are it's only one per gnoll, so they don't cheat them. Be 160 gold for the bounty that you bring in for the slaughter.
Definitely keeping that on me.
I love that, and I love that
In
you
my backpack.
understood that, because in my head I thought that you meant it was a clause, like fine print. I thought that you were
Oh,
Little asterisk, go to the claws at the bottom of the page.
I was like, oh yeah, they just want the corpse guy. That's the clause. It's like, if you don't do that, then it's stupid.
Oh no,
is
we
what I
gotta
am.
get them claws.
Aha! All right. So, I see a trail. Is that happen?
You do, yeah. You see
saw one.
some gnoll tracks leading into the frontier.
So I am gonna walk back over to my friends, and I'm gonna be like, y'all, I see some gnoll tracks. I think we should divert and do this first, since we're going to the same place. We have to report to the Valiants regardless. I think we should get this done first before we leave.
Zorvax is 100% on board. This guy needs to get put down. This gnoll, whatever the finger-wearing thing is, I will not stand.
I look at Percy and I say, "I'm going on a side quest."
And to this, Percy whips around. Aside what now?
You can stay and just guard the box. I think that would be a good job for you, because I don't think we should get it down. It's very safe.
Wait a moment. Just let's
And I
take
show
a few steps back.
I show him the bounty.
All well and good, and far be it from me to not want for the safety of the Mirren people, but let us not forget that you've already been paid a sum to accompany me, and the Valiants are awaiting our arrival in the wilderness. Do you expect them to wait for us? What if something befalls them? There's sort of
Wouldn't the Valiants want this community to be safe? Isn't that literally what the Valiants do?
Did
I
you
would
not
like you to
see
check.
the fellow townsfolk in the pub with us, defending you and your case from those gnolls just now?
Well, I was getting to my sword. I was just about to thrust it heroically into the breast of a gnoll at any moment. I was waiting for the element of surprise to sort of work its way into my favor, warfare and all that, but...
Of course.
I understand where you're coming from. I do want you to understand where we're coming from and let you know that it looks like the Valiants have two wants in this moment, and we can give them both. Wouldn't it be more glorious to provide this in here and also your beautiful case at the same time? Wouldn't that be a little bit more heroic?
Give me
People
a.
will tell tales of you, Percival, if we take this man down.
Uh,
This knoll down.
There's no hold down. He sort of looks to the poster and looks back to the wagon. Well, I mean,
Winking.
it
I'm
surely does.
winking.
It does paint a rather pretty picture. But we don't even know what's inside, and we don't know why it is so secret. What if something's hunting us? What if something is hunting it? What if they're right behind us at this very moment? What if there's so many questions, and they're ones I don't have answers to, which makes me increasingly nervous. And now we want to keep it unattended while you do knoll hunting. It just seems like a conflict of interest.
Percival, we're not leaving it unattended. You're gonna attend it. You have a sword and a spear. It's attended.
I think we should bring it with us now that he brings up this point, because I don't. And then I lean over to Zorbrex. I go, I don't think he can handle it if something happens.
Excuse me,
actually,
what?
yes.
Sorry, I didn't hear you.
You
there.
may have a point.
No. We're just thinking about how valuable it would be to have you with us.
Oh, well, yes, of course.
And
I'm
with
quite
you
knowledgeable.
comes the chest.
Because we don't let you and the chest leave each other.
Yes,
We know that.
of course. This is
Everything.
about you joining us on this quest because you're such a valiant knight, not us keeping the chest safe.
Right.
The chest will be fine. It'll be fine.
Well, it sure would be a fine feather in my cap for Uncle Theo, but if you
Got
are...
a necklace full of fingers.
If you are, and I have no doubt that you are capable, but I've heard tales of this corpse eater, and she is a fearsome being.
Oh, oops. I look,
Oops. A fearsome being, to be sure. I just, that I've sort of not that I could ever attribute a monetary value to the sanctity of your lives, but I've already made a significant investment in you, and that would just not be ideal if that did not pan out in the long run. You understand?
Yes, but it could pan out in a good way.
Percival, pardon me, go on.
No. You're on a tangent.
I do not see our lives in gold. I see our lives in our actions. And right now, you have a moment. You have an option. You can take an action, or you can just do what you're told. And yes, as a knight and a loyal servant of an order, you have a responsibility to do so. I understand that. I respect that. But right now, these people who helped us and are suffering need a defender. You can be that defender, Percival, along with us. Do you or do you not?
To this, he looks at you, eyes widen as you're regaling him with tales of glory. There's a deep inhale, and then a sort of a very nervous exhalation. Well, I can see that there will be no dissuading you, and it would be far wiser for me to be closer to the people I've hired to ensure that I'm not dead than to be far away from them. So
we're ensuring that gets there. I didn't know that you not being dead was part and parcel.
To this
But
person,
all right.
Percival takes a
Addendum
look.
Viola thinks that's the funniest thing she's ever heard.
Grace smacks her face.
What? I thought we just had to get point A to point B with this one box. I didn't know there was a person involved.
Wait, you didn't think you had to keep me alive?
Well, you were paying me to do it. I figured you'd keep yourself alive.
I mean, I've been doing an okay job, but there's a lot of no's out there, apparently. That's why
I'm
you're
not
here.
complaining. I'm just expressing shock. That's all. I'm very happy to keep you alive as well.
It is
But
pretty
no,
much the
that's where we
express
stand.
reason why you arrived, my good man.
Well, I thought it was for the box, not.
I don't wish to argue.
It's
Percy, we are going to keep you alive. It's going to happen.
I mean,
Um,
I just
We
didn't know
got
it
it.
was part of the job. That's all.
Right, I'll make sure to make an addendum to the notice and
Yes.
slip
and
it in your
add
pocket.
them.
Yes.
Mm.
Uh,
Add all the endems you want.
To this, he looks over at Gray with sort of a discerning gaze. Well, you've been awfully quiet. Do you have take on all of this do-gooding and daredeviling that your compatriots seem to so want to subscribe themselves to?
Keep you safe. Keep them safe too.
So it is unanimous. It seems. Sans one, but an outvote is an outvote.
Usadi? Yeah, alright, cool.
Yeah, they're
They
like,
went-
all said yes.
yeah,
They
they're
agree.
just like tending their wounds, just like nodding. All right, well, if no slayers we shall be, no slayers we shall be. Not quite what I.
You will not regret this, my friend. And I pat him again hard on the back.
To this, he whips out his maps, starts looking in the direction. I'm assuming, Viola, you share the knowledge of the knoll tracks that you found with the party. Well, there are a few locations of import in that direction, though not any roads that I'm aware of. And he sort of like takes like a measuring implement and starts like, you know, trying to trace trails between where might be where you currently are in their tracks and into the wilderness. If I'm not mistaken, there is a trading outpost in that general direction. I believe by the name of Cincester's outpost. Perhaps that could be a place of information. Maybe they passed through there, or maybe someone saw something, you know? Could be a good enough place to start at any rate.
Maybe some goods and wares.
Some goods and wares. I can steer the noble steeds in that direction if that is your desire.
Should
Can't say I
we-
have much history there, but sounds good to me.
Should we wait for the rest of our party to embark?
For sure, for sure. Just definitely want to get to a point where the party seems like they are
No.
of.
I
I want to murder some gnolls.
Let's go right now.
Yeah, definitely just want to get us to a point where basically offering the party the option of trying to meet with the Valiants post haste because of the precedence of the secretive box, or taking this little sojourn to rid Sunstep of the Knoll pack. But it seems like the
Yeah.
party is of the mind that they want to go Knoll hunting and find Corpse Eater. Okay,
I
Oh, yeah.
promised.
I
They
promise.
threw rocks
Promise.
for us. We gotta throw rocks for them too, you know?
Technique.
Technique, good throw! Rock for rock! And with that, Percy sort of assumes the top position behind the reins of the donkeys. The reins being like pretty much just some rope that like
Yeah.
they managed to scrounge up, and sort of yanks on him once or twice, like, all right, away! And you can see like the donkeys just like barely lift their heads like with a forward. Sort of like almost arguing. if you could just please. It's already been a very long morning.
Could I get out front and
I
not
was gonna do
push
that.
the donkeys, but like the middle part between the two of them? I'll like kind of get right in between the two of them, grab that, and then start to pull.
I don't mean to sound like a brat, but I was also gonna do that. So can I do that as well? I fucking
Respect.
love
Yeah,
animals.
we
Of
both
course,
are like,
of
let's get these,
course.
let's walk with these donkeys. Let's
How
pull
am I
this
going
around.
to deny you both the joy of hauling a wagon across
Sorry,
Sunstep?
Lauren.
No,
Yeah.
I love that
won't-
you're doing it with me. Yeah, together.
I won't cast thaumaturgy to say "yeah" really loud and scare them.
You will or you won't?
Thank you.
I won't.
Won't, okay.
But that
We
was
don't
gonna
gotta
happen.
scare these donkeys. They're tired. They've had a long day. They,
Uh,
they gotta walk, but we don't gotta push them. We can pull with them.
And with that, with the party motivating, we'll say, the donkeys astride, they slowly begin to, as Percy wheels them off of Fortune Road and pretty much in the exact opposite direction of the route he had already planned towards the Valiant Contacts, further into the wilderness, the frontier of Sunstep. Well, I'm sure this will be a tale to be told. Either way, right?
This is what it's like to be a knight, my friend. You save those that need saving, and you help the helpless.
And with the golden sun on the horizon and the wagon becoming an ever-darkening figure leading ahead into Sunstep proper, I think that is where we will end early for the night. Because we are missing a couple of our valiant heroes. So when next we are joined, we will hopefully, fingers crossed, have a full party to help us hunt down the Rot Fangs and their
We'll
nefarious
mostly
pack
be
leader. Mostly be here, yeah. And they're
Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, we already know
Sid-
Sydney won't be here.
Sid's got
Yeah.
some stuff to do. It's okay. Hey, so you just convinced the party to go hunting gnolls, and then you won't even be there. Great. Okay. Cool. Love it.
Percy's gonna die.
Calling it now.
I see it happen.
Bye, Percy.
If y'all kill him while I'm away, I'll be
Yeah,
fine.
that'll be our
He's
next
gonna
session.
die.
Fine.
The first degree murder of Percy.
If you don't, I will.
The title screen pulls up how the gang murders Percy.
Yep.
Wait, who's the bird?
Yeah, who's the bird? But yes, so everyone,
Percy's the bird.
thank you so much for joining. Just to throw this out there, so adventure streams are Wednesdays at 7:30. So if you want to see the party pick back up with their Null Hunt, that is going to be next Wednesday at 7:30 PM EST. Mondays, I had one stream so far. We had a couple people show up. It was fun. Some DM talks, some game design talks. So if you want to learn more about dungeon mastering or creating characters or designing elements for role-playing games or just role-playing game tips or best practices, I'm running streams on those. And then also, I talked about this with Lauren. I'm going to try to slot this in the schedule. I don't know where yet. I'm sure if y'all are D&D fans, you probably know that Baldur's Gate 3 is coming out, which is a very, very hyped D&D game franchise. And I downloaded the alpha, the beta, the pre-release, whatever it is, on my computer. I've not tested the stream setup with it yet. Hopefully my computer can handle it. I think it can. So I'm thinking about, maybe slotting in some extra days where I run through Baldur's Gate while it's in pre-release. And then, obviously, when it comes out, I'll do a full playthrough. Why not? But yeah, so you can join for me that. I don't know when that'll be. I'll announce that. But yeah, Mondays for sure. What's up?
Man, is that a single player game or is there
So,
anyone who can join you in that?
Also, yeah, interestingly enough, you can play it single player, but it does support party play. So if you are feeling so tempted and I don't know what the requirements would be for a lot of computers. I'm running it on a pretty nice iMac, so I'm pretty sure I'll be okay. But yeah, if you can run it, you'd all be more than welcome to join me for some Baldur's Gate 3 if you'd like. Otherwise, I'll just have a solo character and do whatever. But yeah, so Wednesday night, more campaign streams. Monday night, DM talks, Baldur's Gate when it can happen. But thank you so much for joining us. It fills my heart with such joy to see those numbers tick up. And I think with that, we will...
And to play D&D with your friends.
No, that's the worst part. I hate that part. I don't want to do that.
That's the struggle.
No,
of it.
obviously to play D&D with my friends who are supplying such great characters and such already so many fun stories. I mean, we have rocks and Knoll hunting and
got
Holy
rocks.
Visions. So we already have a lot of characterization going on in just 2 sessions, and I'm very happy about that. But thank you, one and all. Joe gave us a little cute little guy in the chat, little hug guy, little cute hug guy in the chat. Thank you all so much, and I think with that we will see you next Wednesday. I think I'm gonna cut the audio and do the outro. What do you guys think?
I think so too.
Do you have anything you want to say,
This was
friends?
so much fun.
All right.
Just have a good night. I really have to go to the bathroom. Perfect timing.
Perfect timing. Okay. Hail and well met. We'll see you next time on Level 1 Adventure.
Take care, y'all.
Roll the
Stay
outro.
safe out there.
Roll the outro.